What's the most relatable, intrusive thought that Justin Tucker has as he's about to drill a 60-yarder?
Well, no, it'll be like a song that pops into my head, like out of nowhere. It'll be like, Wham, wake me up. Well, why? Why?
I think you might be the first kicker we've ever had on.
Yeah.
That's an honor.
Fuck, who else was it going to be, bro?
I mean, the greatest of all time.
The GOAT. Here we got the GOAT. Yeah. So welcome into the show, the great Justin Tucker. And Justin, my first question, I texted you the other day, but you didn't take the bait. I was like, were you a little bit relieved that kid ran the ball back into the end zone in the rain, like, and you didn't have to trot out there and kick a 53-yarder in that weather? And of course, you did not say you were afraid. You kind of left it open-ended. So the question is, do you ever get relieved you don't have to make a kick?
I think, I don't know, in a way, sure, because, the pressure that is involved, the pressure that you feel when you play this position, it's kind of unique. It's unlike anything else in sport. When you're a quarterback trying to run a 2-minute drive, you've got, 10 other guys on the field that are, and you've got many plays that you need to execute to get down the field. You kind of have, in a way, like a couple of chances to get it right. Whereas when you're a kicker, you're kind of on an island out there. Sure, there's a lot that goes into it. There's, 7 or 8 some odd guys blocking. There's the long snapper, the holder, and myself. We all have to execute, but we only get one shot realistically to get it right. So there is that pressure that comes with it, but the guys that are the best, the guys that have put together the greatest moments and the greatest careers, they thrive in those moments. And I'd like to think I'm one of those guys. At the exact same time, seeing Tylen high stepping down the sideline, breaking 4 tackles. And I can say this because I feel like I've been involved in some pretty epic game-winning moments. That one was my favorite that I've ever, in some small way, been a part of. The fact that we got to witness that, just the energy in the stadium, the vibe was just absolutely electric. And then when Tylen and you hear a little bit about his story and what he's battled through, just from a football perspective, to see him come through in that moment, to see our special teams come through in that moment was incredibly special. So, in a way I was relieved I didn't have to go out there, but more than anything, I was just stoked for Tylen and for our special teams and for Chris Horton, our special teams coordinator. To see that all come together in that moment was very, very cool.
Did you end up in the dog pile in the end zone?
I did. I just make sure to keep my feet out of it.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, Justin, you just hang back here, dude.
Is there a recurring nightmare for a kicker or for you specifically? Is it laces in like a Finkel Einhorn?
Is it like situation? The movies? Yeah. Is that bullshit?
That's not really a thought. That's not really a thought for me and for us. And I emphasize the us there. That's the long snapper's job. To ensure that he throws the ball with the exact number of rotations to make sure that the holder catches the ball with the laces in his in like his throwing hand, similar to like a center putting the ball in the quarterback's hands, whether he's or when he's under center. A lot of times they put the guy will put the ball in the quarterback's hand with the laces right here, so he's ready to throw it. At least that's what I remember from high school football. That's how it went down there. It's a foreign world to me now. But
the great Nick Foles, Westlake High School. Am I right?
That's right. That's right. And we just breed champions at Westlake.
That's what y'all do, man.
Drew Brees, Nick Foles. The list could go on and on.
Yeah.
But as far as experiencing Schadenfreude from 6 o'clock laces, as we like to call them, that's not really a concern of mine. I know Tyler Ott or Nick Moore or Morgan Cox, the long snappers that I've been blessed to play with have taken their craft incredibly seriously, and the guys that are the best do a great job of sending the ball back with 12 o'clock laces. So it's not a thought for the holder or especially the kicker. That's why I've said before, I'm a system guy, like I do as much as I can to ensure that our unit is executing at the level that I feel like there's a standard and we have to be at it or above it. And if we're not, someone's getting their ass fired up and they've got to be okay with it. And then, we fix the problem and move on. All the guys that I've been lucky enough to play with have done a great job of taking their respective crafts very, very seriously. So they are able to execute at that high level.
You seem like a guy who does things the same way, and that helps you get where you've gotten. I mean, like the routine of it. I heard pregame, you go out there 48-yarder from the right hash, the Vinatieri kick, and I wonder why that kick and not the one in the snow. Which one do you think was harder? Because I can't imagine kicking a ball in the snow like that. I don't know if you've had to.
I think the number of snow, like legit snowy games that we've played in has been surprisingly low. I say that, and we're probably now all of a sudden we're going to go to Jacksonville and it'll be a snowstorm rolling in. But I kind of picked out that kick when I was in high school, the 48-yarder from the right hash, because that to me was it was kind of a pivotal and inspiring moment to me as a young football player. I remembered seeing Vin knock down the 48-yarder in that first Super Bowl that he, was responsible for the game-winning play, right? I remembered seeing that as a kid and thinking to myself, like, man, maybe that could be me one day. Maybe if I work hard enough and I develop, my talent enough, and I trust in the coaching, I trust in my teammates, all of those things. If I can, maybe one day that could be me. And sure enough, fortunately enough, I've been able to play in the league for a good amount of time, and I'd like to think I'm just getting started. But I look back at that kick that Vinatieri made in that Super Bowl. Yeah, sure. The 40, I think it was a 45-yarder in the snow. In that the championship game, the AFC Championship. The
tuck rule.
That's right. That was probably one of the greatest kicks of all time.
What is the greatest kick of all time?
I think it might be that one. I mean, just looking back, thinking of the ones off the top of my head. I mean, just recently, Jake Elliott's 59-yarder in the rain and that crosswind was freaking awesome, man. I texted him like immediately after I saw it. And I was like, bro, that was incredible. That was one of the most I've ever seen.
It's insane.
That one definitely sticks out. And I loved it. By the way, I love the sideline reaction shots of like Jason Kelce and Jalen Hurts, and they're just like it was nothing.
That's what it's all about, dude. We just talked about that exact thing on this show. Was like, I'm obsessed with that video because it encapsulates the nails. Like guys are just you got to have balls to go into overtime. Period in the NFL. But they just look like they've been there 1,000 times. And you guys are kind of the same way. You have that veteran, like we've been here before group. I mean, it gave me chills watching that whole thing.
No doubt. And I think you're absolutely right, man. I think the way our team is built, especially right now, we've got, just a bunch of ball players, a bunch of dogs that just know how to like fight through adversity. And, each and every guy at some point, we know we might have the opportunity to just put the team on our back, put the city on our back, like just like this last weekend. You look at Thailand and, for all intents and purposes, a guy that you could say nobody's ever heard of, and he goes out there and puts the city on his back, and he makes the play to win the game. And I love his comments after the game, to the team in the locker room. He was humble. He was grateful. But you could tell he also, without him saying it, you could tell he knew he was prepared for that moment. He was ready to be the guy in the moment. And I think we got a lot of guys on our team that are just like that, which could set us up for some really special things in our future.
Talk to us about icing kickers. For you specifically, does it matter? I've always thought that the best situation is for a coach to have one timeout on the other side, because then you don't know if he's taking it or not. If he takes it and they have none remaining, then you can lock in. There's going to be no distractions. Does it affect you when a timeout is taken when you've already lined up a kick?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a fair point. If the other team has saved that one timeout, whether or not they use it, kind of don't care. But when you know for sure that it's not even going to be a thing, it is one less thing to think about. As easy as it is for guys to say, like, I'm 100% locked in, I'm focused. I don't care about like all of the other distractions, the crowd noise. In Pittsburgh, they just played Renegade for like the fourth time in the game. Like, everybody's waving their stupid towels around. Like as easy as it is for guys to say, like, I just block out all the distractions. We are all still human beings, and like it happens. You think about, all of them. I'll have the most random thoughts, at the end of a game when I know I got to go and knock down the game winner. But ultimately, the most important things are just the nuts and bolts of what's going to make the kick. So I do my best to focus on those for 1.3 seconds between the snap, the hold, and the kick. And then, when another thought or another idea is starting to kind of creep toward the front of my mind, I put it away for a moment and then, do my best to execute. So as far as like calling a timeout or not calling one, icing the kicker, I think it's kind of proven statistically over a pretty lengthy period of time that it doesn't really have an effect on specifically at this level. It doesn't really have an effect on professionals. Maybe in high school and college football, guys who are kind of on their way to figuring it out. It might be a little bit easier to distract a 17-year-old junior in high school with a timeout, and make him think about it. But, and I don't know. I think that maybe just speaks to, how good and how focused and how locked in kickers at this level are, that icing the kicker doesn't really seem to matter at all.
And how funny it is that head coaches just keep doing it.
Yeah.
they're all into analytics, but they can see it doesn't work. They're just like, we're going to call timeout.
What's your most random thought? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, what's the most relatable, intrusive thought that Justin Tucker has as he's about to drill a 60-yarder?
Well, it'll be like a song that pops into my head, like out of nowhere. It'll be like, Wham, wake me up. Why? Why is that? Or, it's usually like a song that I heard on the, on like a random Spotify playlist that just pops into my, that I might have heard in my car driving to the stadium, or like a song that was playing on the PA system in the stadium, like before the, third or fourth quarter or something. But, or it could be something like, man, I had like spaghetti and meatballs like right before this game, and I had like a whole loaf of garlic bread, and I'm like, I'm kind of feeling it right now. But I don't know. That's usually the long and short of it. It's not anything crazy.
Yeah, I as a music guy, does it suck to hate Styx like once a year when you go to Pittsburgh?
Well, what makes it even worse is we play that song on our big speakers out at practice, like a lot.
Yeah, we're here now. Now I feel like I'm in Heinz Field. Can you turn the music down, Coach?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and listen, Styx is amazing. I celebrate their whole catalog. Except for that one song, which is probably like their greatest hit. It's a tune that just absolutely slaps, except for the 1 week of the year where we know we're going to Pittsburgh and we're gonna, they're gonna play it. I do think it's actually pretty sick. I mean,
Sick song.
Yeah, and
I remember going up there and being like, they were kicking our ass, and I was like, this is cool. We need a six at the Edward Jones Dome.
It is. It's pretty lit. It's pretty lit.
What do you think? This is the time of year with weather. You guys know every stadium. Like, do kickers, are they kind of responsible to know the crosswinds in every stadium that's outdoor? And you less and less of them. But are you guys pretty well versed in, especially somebody like you being around for a long time? Do you know every stadium where it comes from?
Like in a way, like yes and no. So I try not to overthink, stadium conditions and wind patterns. There's guys who have these like diagrams and these logs of records of like the wind was blowing in this game at 11 miles per hour southeast. So that means going toward this end of the stadium, the ball will move this much or this little. But the way I see it is like the weather is, the weather is kind of my opponent. Like on a typical game, on a typical Sunday, I'm not necessarily concerned about which team we're playing or who we're playing. Unless there's like a guy that's just like an excellent edge rusher, then I've got to like really just make sure I get the ball off in 1.3 seconds flat. Otherwise, like the opponent for me each week is the field conditions and the weather conditions. So as far as trying too hard to, I do think it is possible to think too hard or think too much about the weather conditions or the field conditions when what ultimately matters is like how you handle each kick in each moment, because the weather is completely unpredictable from one kick to the next. Like the wind might, you might get a gust of wind that just blows the ball, or you might be setting up in a spot where the field might be particularly soft or chewed up because an entire 4 quarters of football has just been played throughout the and of course like the area where you kick the ball is where the most action on the field is happening as far as trenches. Guys are just like tearing up that every square inch in between the hashes. So trying to figure out like in each moment, okay, well in pregame the ball might have been doing this, but right now I'm pretty sure the ball is going to do this, and right now I feel like I've got to plant in a really specific way so I don't lose my footing, and so I can ensure that I am technically sound and I follow through the ball and get great foot-to-ball contact. So as far as I do think it's possible to overthink
it.
Yeah, it's possible to overthink it, but you definitely got to consider the conditions when you're lining up a kick.
Two-parter. One, how many on the 53-man roster could make an extra point? And two, how far could you punt it against a rush? Would the hang time be sufficient? Why do we not see any kicker-punter hybrids? Are the skill sets that different?
Great questions. As far as the number of guys on the 53 that could make a PAT, probably every single one of them, because they're all just great athletes.
You weren't on my team because I don't think I could have made one of those.
I'm being way too nice. It might be. Are we talking about like a pre-2015 PAT where it was from 20 yards away?
Current PAT.
So it's a 33-yard kick.
It's harder.
Are we saying like just could make the kick off of the sticks, or are we saying like there's a bunch of Chris Longs like with their arms extended with a wingspan of Michael Phelps that are trying to block it?
I wish I had that wingspan.
Yeah,
I'd still be playing.
Game situation, yeah.
Okay, game situation, maybe.
Against the rush.
On our team, I could probably think of them off the top of my head. It'd probably be it would be me, Jordan Stout, and Odell.
Odell.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's an athlete, dude.
No, he can do anything. It's actually unreal. And then Gosh, what was it? What was the
How
second
far
part?
are you punting at?
It's a great question. I forgot the question.
Why
but it
aren't
was
there
good.
Great question. I forgot everything you said. How far could I punt? Well, so in college, I punted all 4 years at Texas that I was there. And my senior year, I want to say I was the 13th best punter in the Big 12. And I straight up think there were two dudes at Iowa State that had better stats than I did. But as of right now, I could get us out of it. I could get us out of a game for sure. I don't think anybody wants to see it. It could be ugly, but I could if I really got a hold of the ball, like if I and that would be like 1 out of every 5. If I'm so every Thursday typically we do. That's our kind of our punt return day, and while the returners are warming up or whatever, I'll send them a couple of punts. And a couple of different varieties, depending on who we're playing. If a guy has like a specialty kick, I'll send him down there, and in a way just to kind of help myself stay in tune to some punting technique. But guys are really quite specialized. I think that's why you won't see like a hybrid guy at this level. The number of kicks that you gotta put out in a typical practice day, or the number of leg swings for a kicker versus a punter, just because they are different swings. Like the punter technique is like it's a lot more quad, it's a lot more straight up and down. And then like a kicker's technique, there's a significantly more
athletic movement.
I would say so.
I would agree too, Justin.
A lot more rotation.
I would agree. It's
a lot more hip flexor, a lot more like back and glute, like a lot of quad, a lot of calf.
So these kickers are walking around beat up after football.
Yeah, no, it's just the hip, your hips and your back. My golf game after I'm done playing.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
We want to let you go, dude, because we're keeping you over time, and I know you got stuff to get to. You got to lift. You got to keep that physique. You got to get out there, kick some field goals, and do what you guys do at practice, which is like, in the beginning they do indie, and then they run inside and play video games and shit. So I want to let Justin Tucker get to his day, but we appreciate you, dude. We really do, and hope you come back, because I got a million kicker questions that I haven't been able to ask anybody, but we hope we get you back in the off season maybe.
Amazing. I'd love to come back on.
Yeah, dude. Awesome. Well, keep up the great work. Big fans.
All right.
Dude.
Likewise.
All right,
thanks for having me, guys.